Hey there, welcome in. My name is Mike DeJohn, and this is SoundstageEDU. This show exists for the people behind the programs. The parents, the directors, the volunteers, the ones carrying things that most people never see. We talk about the real stuff here. Booster culture, leadership, burnout, governance, and what it actually takes to build something that lasts for the kids. So if you're in it, you're in the right place. But before we jump in, just a couple of quick things. If this show has helped you, even once, follow it, save it, come back to it. There are a lot of episodes here, and chances are something you're dealing with right now, we've probably already talked about it. And if you know someone else in your program, another parent, board member, or director who's in the middle of it with you, share this with them. Because these conversations, well, they hit different when you're not the only one hearing them. All right. Let's get into it. There is something happening in fine arts programs all across the country right now. Right now. Inside of band rooms, choir halls, booster meetings, theater storage closets even, parking lots, after spring concerts. There's a handful of exhausted adults that are quietly asking themselves the same question. You might even be asking yourself this question too. And it goes somewhere, it kind of goes like this. How much longer can we keep doing this? And the scary part of that, a lot of these parents are asking themselves that question quietly. Because they love the kids. They love the program. They love the director. They love what the arts gave their family. But here's the truth. They're tired. Really tired. And you know what, guys? I'm one of those parents too. I'm tired. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not. I mean, let's be honest about it. A lot of these booster organizations are being held together by gaff tape and caffeine, Google Sheets, Google Docs, a Google account that everyone keeps forgetting the password to or can't get it to share. And I bet there's a good chance that you've got 4 emotionally overcommitted parents who have not said no since 2021. I'm calling myself out on that. The moment I was asked, I said yes. And I haven't said no since. 5 years. And my oldest kid is just now going to be starting high school. It's been going on a long time, guys. I'm tired. If there's someone out there that can relate to exactly what you guys are feeling across the board, I feel like it is me. I don't have all the answers. I'm not perfect, but I've been through some stuff. Not just with my kids, but also in my past. As someone who worked inside of these programs. And despite all that, and this Gen X grit that I tend to carry along with me, I need you to hear me very clearly right now. It's not sustainable. It's not. And we're looking at those parents that are sitting in the parking lot exhausted. And I say it's not sustainable. And I'm looking at them. I need you to know that it's not because those people are weak. It's not that they don't care enough. It's not that I don't think that you're enough. You are. You absolutely are. And it's not because, and I hate to say this, but I hear a lot of people say this because I think it's a true sentiment that's sitting in the back of our mind, even though I don't think it's the truth. But I don't think it's because people just don't want to volunteer anymore. I don't. Most of the time, burnout, which is what you're seeing, is not necessarily a problem for or a problem of your people. It's not a people problem. It's a problem with the systems that you have in place to support those people. And as I keep talking through this, I realize my voice is getting more and more scratchy, and I apologize for that. We're just going to push through this, okay? It's spring. Got allergies, we got colds. At the end of the school year, everyone's tired. Immune systems are down. Coffee's not really working. But hey, we're going to push through like we always do. So back to the systems problem. The system that we've built to support ourselves may be where the problem lies. And I think that's incredibly important right now that we stop and take a look at that, especially as we are heading into another marching band season. I think my kids are out of school in like a week. And then we just get right into it. Right now, across the country, there are brand new freshman parents entering your ecosystem for the very first time. I'm going to have a unique perspective of that this year. I am that new parent entering that ecosystem for the first time with the high school that my kids are going to go to. Now, the reason I say it's an interesting perspective, it's because I've worked with these people in the past and they don't even realize it. I've been a part of their program as a consultant for their sound design. I already see their culture. And you know what? I already see where things can get better. And that's not a knock on them. It's because we all inherently have systems that don't fully support what we're trying to do. But you have all these new freshman parents entering into your system for the very first time. I'm going to one of those meetings in like, I don't know, 6 or 7 days. And this is what I expect to see from a lot of these parents. They're going to be nervous. They're going to be confused, intimidated, maybe a little withdrawn. They're going to be a little scared because they're bringing their baby to a big old high school with big old kids. But also, let's not forget that some of them are going to be very excited. But here's the deal. They don't know the language. You have your own language, believe it or not. You may not realize it at this point, but you've adopted your own language within your core group there. The new parents don't know that language. They don't know the culture. They don't know why there are suddenly 12,000 emails about uniforms and water jugs and football games and volunteer signups, trailer pools and section dinners and spirit wear, and why are we suddenly paying for charter buses? Meanwhile, the veteran parents are exhausted because they feel like nobody's helping. And those two groups keep missing each other emotionally. One side is drowning. The other side is standing on the shore, too afraid to jump in the water. That right there, my friends, is the disconnect. And honestly, I think this is one of the biggest opportunities we have right now inside of arts culture. Not just to save programs, but to save people. Because somewhere along the way, many booster organizations accidentally created cultures where volunteering feels terrifying. I mean, and nobody intended for that to happen, but it did. New parents walk into meetings and they're hearing acronyms that they don't understand because nobody's defining them. They see tightly connected groups of veteran parents and they quickly defer to them as cliques. They hear discussions about bylaws and budgets and trailers and competitions and taxes and props and audits and uniforms and travel logistics, and they immediately think, oh, well, these people already have this all figured out. They don't need me. Meanwhile, the board is sitting there internally screaming, please help us. And that disconnect is crushing programs. And honestly, it's crushing good people too. I've watched incredible volunteers walk away from organizations that they deeply loved because they slowly became emotionally underwater. Certainly not because they stopped caring, but because they cared too much for too long without enough support. And then some of us still hanging on there will start saying things like, well, nobody helps anymore. And I just don't think that that's true. I think a lot of people want to help. They just don't know where they fit. And that right there is a leadership issue, not a moral failure. But in fact, one of the biggest mistakes organizations make is recruiting people into giant, undefined commitments. Right? I mean, nobody wants to volunteer for Vice President of Transportation Logistics and Competitive Operations. I'm going to lobby to have a position like that called at one of the marching band boosters, because that's great. Vice President of Transportation Logistics and Competitive Operations. I mean, what does that sound like to you? I mean, legit sounds like a federal government position. But you know what people will do? I mean, that title's scary. Nobody wants that. They don't even know what that means. I just made it up. I don't know what it means. But you know what they will volunteer for? You know what they will do? Stay with me here. One football game. One trailer pull. 1 hour sorting uniforms. One sponsorship phone call. One chaperone shift. One water crew rotation. One manageable thing. That right there is where sustainable culture begins. Not with pressure, but with permission. And I think we need to talk more about permission inside of booster culture. For real. Permission to ask questions. Permission to not understand everything. Permission to be new. Permission to learn slowly. Permission to not immediately become a board member. Some of you listening right now are freshman parents, right? I don't know how you found me. I'm glad you did. Maybe someone shared it with you. Maybe some of you veterans that are listening right now, find your freshman parents that are incoming and share this podcast with them. Share this episode. Tell them to plug in and start listening. Because that's what we're going to do here at SoundstageEDU, is we're going to help you prepare and get ready and answer some of the questions that you might not actually want to ask in public. Well, I'll bring them up. I'll talk about it. I have no problem with that. But some of you, maybe you are the freshman parent that's listening, and I'm glad you're here. And right now, whether you want to admit it or not, you're overwhelmed. I know you are. Because this world that you're walking into, despite having gone through 3-4 years middle school, this world is weird. At first. It is. It's weird. It's a weird culture. Maybe you are familiar with it because you were a fine arts kid yourself. Maybe you were a marching band kid. Or maybe you have nothing, you have no knowledge, no experience inside of the arts. It's something your kid found and latched onto. It gave them growth, it gave them purpose, and you loved it for them. When we get out of middle school, we get into high school, and all of a sudden, it like levels up like 10 notches. Especially if you're in a competitive school, competitive program, and you're like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten into? What are we doing? It's weird. It feels like everybody already knows each other. It feels like there's hidden rules. Kind of feels like everybody else got the handbook except for you. Now, someone who's seen a lot of these interactions begin at the beginning of each year, listen to me carefully here. I need you to understand, new parents, that you belong there too. Your perspective matters. Your skills matter. Your energy matters. What you bring to the table matters. Even if all you can do right now is help once a month, that still matters. And for the veteran parents that are listening right now, please, I want you to hear me too. Your exhaustion that you're feeling, I mean, we're just getting out of this year and we're getting ready to go into another one and you're still exhausted. You don't know if you're going to recover. That exhaustion is real. The frustration that comes along with that exhaustion is real. All the time, the money, the resources that you're sacrificing, that's real. And whether you feel like it or not, you are seen, you are heard, you are appreciated, even if nobody says it. As a kid who grew up in the arts, I appreciate it. They appreciate it. But if we want sustainability, guys, we cannot build these organizations around martyrdom. We cannot normalize, well, I guess I'll just do it myself again. Because eventually those people disappear. And when they do, I've seen this happen before, entire organizations collapse behind them. Passwords disappear, knowledge disappears, processes disappear, relationships disappear. Then suddenly everybody is panicking because one parent graduated. That is not a volunteer pipeline. That is organizational fragility. And I think that this is where SoundstageEDU is trying to live right now inside of this ecosystem. Not as some loud consultant screaming at people from a distance. Although it seems like I do that. Not somebody trying to drain already struggling programs of resources that they don't have. No. I genuinely believe these programs deserve better systems, healthier leadership cultures, and much calmer operational structures. Because the kids are worth that effort. And honestly, so are you guys. You parents, you volunteers, guardians, you're worth that effort as well. One of the things I want this platform to become over the next year is a safe place for parents and booster leaders to process all of this without shame. That matters deeply to me because a lot of people are quietly drowning in these roles while pretending that everything is fine publicly. And if that's you, I want you to know that you are not alone. You're not failing at anything. You're not crazy for doing this. There's not something wrong with you, because oftentimes I find myself saying that when I get overwhelmed and I'm like, what is wrong with me? Why am I doing this? Yes, even me. And what it is when I step back and look is we're inside of a system that was never designed to scale sustainably in the first place. And that's where I went to work. That's where I started to put guardrails in place to allow that scalability. That's why we talk so much here about governance, culture, structure, communication, volunteer onboarding, leadership development, succession planning. Not because those things are boring and need to be talked about, but because those things determine whether organizations survive. It's also why I keep telling you guys that you don't have to figure this all out alone. And I mean that sincerely. If your board is stuck, reach out. There's plenty of people out here that listen that have reached out, and they can tell you that I do answer. I do respond. I do help. Sometimes it's a long email. Sometimes we hop on the phone. Sometimes we hop on a Zoom. Sometimes I come into your meeting via Zoom. If your organization is struggling, reach out. If you need someone to help facilitate hard conversations, reach out. If you're trying to rebuild culture, reach out. That is literally why I built this. Not to sit on the sidelines and yell at people and judge people, but to help. And yes, obviously consulting exists. Resources exist. Memberships in this ecosystem exist. I mean, this platform has to sustain itself somehow. It's an old mentor of mine used to always say, there's no free lunch. But I need people to understand something very clearly about me and SoundstageEDU. My goal is not extraction. My goal here is multiplication. I want healthier programs, stronger volunteer cultures, better leadership systems, more sustainable organizations, less fear, less chaos, less burnout. Because when the adults function well together, the kids win. And that matters deeply, especially right now. Because I think we're entering into a really important season in arts education. There's so many new families arriving. So many parents searching for answers. So many people trying to understand how these cultures work. And when you consider where I live, there's a lot of diversity around here. There's a lot of folks that weren't born and raised here in America. And they're here now. They're trying to exist. They're trying to absorb our culture. They're trying to adapt. And I think we have an opportunity here to shape that culture intentionally, instead of just inheriting dysfunction year after year. So if this connected with you, first, share it with another parent who probably needs to hear it. Second, follow the platform wherever you found this episode, because we're going deep into all of this over the next several months, all the way through marching season. And if you're sitting here thinking, honestly, our organization is struggling with exactly this, then reach out. Seriously. That is what this ecosystem is for. You can find resources, articles, tools, free downloads, podcast episodes, discussion groups, and leadership support, and lots of things that are coming that we're going to build throughout the summer and add to what's already there. And you'll find all of that over at SoundstageEDU.com. You can join as a free member right now, because we're building a lot for incoming parents and leadership teams this summer. We'll start having monthly live meetings called 60 Minutes with Mike, where we'll just talk through the state of the boosters, I guess. State of what we're seeing, the state of arts education, the state of federal policy against what we're doing. We'll have all those discussions. Trust me, you're not the only organization trying to figure this out right now. Not even close. And maybe that's where we should end today. You're not alone in this. Not as a parent, not as a volunteer, not as a board member, not as a director. We can build healthier systems than this. We can build calmer cultures than this. We can absolutely build programs where people feel supported instead of consumed. Either way, the show must go on. But the people carrying the show matter too. And it's not just the kids on the field. It's the parents behind the kids. Let's raise the bar together.